Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pan, the organizer, and most of my viewers know me for car detailing, right? The tips, the tricks, the product reviews, the tutorials, all that kind of stuff. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, but another one of my passions is sports, more specifically because I'm from Montreal, Canada, the Montreal Canadiens hockey team, right? So hockey has been a big part of my life, but where am I here today? This is so special. If you do a quick glance or pan with the camera, you're gonna see we're in a man cave, but not any type of man cave. I'm telling you guys, this is some of the most insane stuff I've ever seen. Don't show them too much. Come back to me now. Come back to me quickly, because I want them to watch from the beginning all the way till the end. We are at the world famous Habscave, and we're here with the owner, Sunil. So please stay all the way till the end, because you're gonna see stuff that some people have never seen the day of light. Some players have never even seen this. Hockey players from the Montreal Canadiens have been in this man cave. There's been some parties. There's been some also social gatherings to be able to collect funds for charities, a bunch of awesome stuff. You're going to see gears from Stanley Cup championships, game issued, game worn, signed items. It is beyond craziness. You're going to hear the stories, some things you've probably never heard of before. You're going to want to share this with friends and family, and we're going to have a lot of fun because the more I look around, my mind is absolutely blown. So whether you're a hockey fanatic, whether you like the Montreal Canadiens, or you like sports in general, if you want to see the ultimate fan cave in the world, it's the Habs Cave. Let's go ahead and start the show. All right, guys, we're starting this tour. I want to thank Sunil, first of all. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, it's my pleasure. By the way, I'm with my brother, Andy. He's one of the biggest fans of the Montreal Canadiens ever since he was a young kid, but I think we found the ultimate Habs fan in you. So you're nice enough to have us in your home. We have a bunch of memorabilia as we're coming down into the man cave that you called the Habs Cave.
It's been coined the Habs Cave, and I'm very, very pleased to share it with you tonight. Thank you very much.
From what you've said, there's many players of the Canadiens that have come here through the years, and you also organize charitable events. So that is very nice of you. But like, first of all, but my mind is already absolutely blown. I don't have a quick look, guys, but I don't want you to see too much right away because there's so much to take in. We could be here for days on end.
I love the reaction. I love being behind whoever comes down here because that's the reaction I'm always looking for. So thank you.
We have a lot to cover. I want to cover the highlights, but first of all, get us through. How did you start? So how young were you, and how do we get to this point?
I think, I'm being born and raised in Quebec, in Montreal. We love the hockey. I started off with hockey cards, buying hockey cards and collecting those, going to games, meeting players, getting hockey cards autographed. It kind of grew from there. As I got older, I got my first job at McDonald's. I saved a little bit of money and was always on the hunt for some bigger items, a picture, a jersey. It just kind of grew from there, and I never really stopped that, as you can see.
So you started at 5? You said,
I
right?
would say 5 years
approximately.
Old, for sure.
So I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, regardless what sport it is, we've all pretty much started the same way. You're 47, I'm 44. 47. So we're kind of that same generation, but I'm seeing things already. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of things people have never seen, by the way. So let's start way before. So today we have the Bell Center, which is the NHL's biggest arena. But before that, we had the Forum, and before that, we had the Mount Royal Arena. So Sunil, what is this? This is an original bench?
It's a prized possession because it's a refurbished seat from the Mount Royal Arena. Look, we're talking about when the team played in 1924. This is an old seat. Look at the die-cast metal for the legs. This is just
built-in quality.
Yeah, it's we don't build things like we used to build.
Can I have a seat?
Absolutely. They're ready to go.
That's the thing. We can use these things.
They're strong and sturdy.
So I'm 6'3", 240 pounds, and no problem. It's just the seat is small. Yeah. That's crazy. 1920 to 1926.
And again, I have a lot of seats in the basement, and I have a lot of things that are older and antiques. But we like to use them. They're here to use, so we enjoy them and we use them. So that's kind of fun. I love that you sat in the seat. So thank you.
Before we continue with the rest, because I see a lot of twigs, so those are the hockey sticks. That's how we call them in the hockey world. Yeah. But there was a special moment in your life that you shared. I want to share that with the audience as well. You're such a fanatic, but a good ambassador for the Montreal Canadiens as far as a fan is concerned, that I think, if I'm not mistaken, you were the first inductee into the Canadiens Hall of Fame.
Yes, that's right. Fans. The Habs Hall of Fame. 2021, I got that call, and it was quite
During COVID?
Yeah, it was quite an amazing moment that they called to tell me that I was the first inductee. I think as a fan, period, it doesn't matter what team you were on or loved or whatever. To be called by the organization, number one, is amazing, just to get a phone call.
Yeah.
And then to be told, something that big, my mind was blown. And
the Montreal Canadiens, they always do things with class.
It was an incredible day. They put a banner center ice.
And it was a banner that
exactly,
looked like
large banner. There was some alumni players there.
So Temple la Renommée, basically the Hall of Fame for the fans, 2021-22, first inductee, Sunil Pitouche. And look
yeah,
at
I mean,
that.
there really was no greater
center.
honor for me as a fan.
Wow.
Like I said, they had alumni there. They played the music. They had me on the ice. And the banner was there for 3 full years upstairs on the 3rd floor. Quite an honor. I don't think it gets any bigger than that.
For sure.
So,
the only thing bigger is actual Stanley Cups. And we both
know
that the most awarded team for the Stanley Cup in all of the NHL is the Montreal Canadiens, 24 Stanley Cups. And we have all their banners from all their years here, like they have in the rafters at the Bell Center or back in the old days in the Forum, Sunil. So this
I tried to basically, the idea was, look, the best place to watch a hockey game, period, in the NHL, and everyone knows it, is the Bell Center.
Absolutely.
So I tried to make this the second best place
to
watch a Montreal Canadiens game in the city of Montreal. And look, we have some great times down here. And there's a lot of design elements, obviously, I incorporated from the Bell Center itself, from the lighting to the banners.
Absolutely.
I tried to bring that sort of game time atmosphere.
Yes. We have a cool pinball machine.
Yeah, vintage pinball machine.
I can tell Patrick Roy, just like me and my brother, one of our favorite players of all time, all sports combined. Mine is Michael Jordan too, in other sports, but for hockey, this guy was my youth. My brother, it's literally his biggest sports celebrity that he likes.
Choice.
So we're going to see a lot of Patrick Roy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have one of his game-worn jerseys here.
Yeah, so this 1994 game-used jersey.
So right after the Cup.
What's remarkable is the size. It's size 56.
Small,
very small, size 56. Tight jersey. Whereas now the goalies are, the equipment's so big, the jerseys are big, nice and loose. And again, it's all about the details for me. So not just having the jersey incorporated into the box. Let's add some this is I love to work with Canadian artists. So this is an artist, Van Mo from Winnipeg.
Yes.
And he creates these caricatures of all these goalies, top shelf goalies. And I just love them. I have them all over the basement just because, it really encapsulates Patrick or in the way I remember it.
Absolutely.
It's really, really great.
You post a lot of stuff on your social page. So Instagram, Habscave.
Yeah, all over. Official? So every social, out there, at Habscave, basically. If you Google it, you'll come up to my Instagram page. I'm active on Instagram mostly. Yes. We do a lot of work with alumni players. We're different. We raise money for different charities in the community as well. Good. So, I'm constantly posting about big things, little things, anything with a Montreal Canadiens logo on it. Yes. You're gonna find on my page. I'm like, as you can see, I'm a fanatic. So I'm just after that little logo. If someone could give me a cigarette lighter with a logo, I'll be excited. Just as much as someone can give me a hockey stick with a logo on it. I just love the Habs, so I'm constantly looking for that unique item.
I have my smile ear to ear, and my brother cannot he's gonna lack sleep tonight. I can tell you. So where Sunil and I met was actually at a Habs game at the Bell Center. Perfect. Yeah. As I was walking by, he stopped me and you're Pan the organizer.
Exactly.
So I have my detailing channel on YouTube, and so I'm passionate about cars, detailing, but also sports. And we knocked it out the park. We clicked, and I knew he was different. And when I checked out his page, I'm like, I thought I loved hockey. I thought my brother loved hockey, but you can tell we're in the Mecca. So here I see you have a replica of, this is his Hall of Fame plaque that he has there, obviously signed by the man himself.
Yeah, that was interesting because Patrick signed it in person. So
if you have some juicy stories about anything we see, let us know.
Absolutely.
There's some things you can't share, but
I got pretty recently meeting Patrick after he was done his coaching career in the juniors.
Yes.
It's quite a different experience meeting him as an adult and later on in life. Athletes have an easy time autographing for little children. Absolutely. Adults, it's a little bit of a different story.
Different, yeah, exactly.
A little bit of a different story.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, I give him props, 10 out of 10 for signing and meeting the people and still autographing.
Absolutely, yeah, he's a top person.
Yeah, 100%.
Here, Andy, so Andy's my cameraman, my brother. We have one rare thing that you mentioned. Yep. A row of 4 seats from the Forum. So usually they come in either singles or pairs of 2, but you have 4 of them stuck together.
Yeah, 4 in a row is quite rare. I mean, look, it's a large commitment for somebody to commit to 4 seats, right? And to be honest, you could put a 3-seater sofa or this 4 seats. So what I love and what I emphasized before is that we actually use the seats. So they're not just props. They're not just like, hey, these are 100-year-old seats. Don't touch them. No, we use them.
The real deal.
And that's what I love. They're functional sort of memorabilia and functional art,
And you're a builder.
Absolutely.
And you even know the person who was manufacturing these back in the time. So the ones who were making the metal brackets kind of thing. So they helped you later on. We're going to see that, refurbish a few. I'm looking at this chest though, and I see a logo of the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, so this is
vintage.
This is cool. Yeah, this is a vintage piece from the 40s and the 50s.
Look at that.
So there's even a logo on the top here. You can capture this.
The patina.
Yeah. I mean, this came from, like I said, the 40s and 50s. They used to put the equipment in these type of travel trunks.
So this was used by the team.
Absolutely.
The
they had
team.
10 of these. This is number 6. And the equipment in there, you're talking about the Rocket, the Bellevue, all those guys' equipment been in here, Jacques Plante, Vezina perhaps, look. It's history, absolutely. Like, there's nothing like it. It's thick leather. Everly Travel Trunk Company from 1880 to 1956. So
look at that.
Made in Montreal. Some history there. Some great history.
There's so much, but I'm excited here because I see. So this is a goalie from the 70s that won many Stanley Cups, but he was a star goaltender. We'd have a lot of goaltenders that were celebrities in the Montreal Canadiens, but he was definitely one of the first ones with Jacques Plante. This is Ken Dryden.
Yeah.
So I see equipment here that looks from the time, but is this actual stuff?
Yeah, so it's basically game issued. It was ready for Ken to wear and to play with.
Come on, closer.
What's awesome about this equipment is the current Habs goalie, Sam Montembeault, recently was on the cover of a magazine, Hockey Le Magazine, and they called me and they said, hey, Sonny, we really want to do this vintage shoot in the old port of Montreal.
Yep.
What do you got for us? So I dismantled all this equipment, put it on Canadiens' current goalie, Sam Montembeault, in an alleyway in Old Montreal, and we did this amazing photo shoot. So I love that other story that comes along with this equipment. And plus he's in his traditional pose.
Absolutely.
Leaning up against a stick.
Exactly, next to his goal. These were all the game issued stuff.
Yeah,
so this
absolutely.
would have been things that he would actually
learn. Yes, absolutely. The blocker, gloves,
seasons.
stick pads, everything.
Look at that, Andy. Can you capture all of that? Look at the mask even.
Of course, I go a little overboard with the wig and the and the eyes
and the
face.
Yes.
Hey, it's all about the details, right?
Absolutely.
It's all about the details.
So we have another
As Pan knows, right? It's all about the details.
The details, that's right. Here we have Patrick Roy.
Yeah.
But so this is special because once again, this is actual game worn.
Definitely.
From the 1990 season, and we can tell that through the pads. What can you say about this equipment? Because this is his famous mask that we know him with.
Look, a lot of people say, they always ask me, what's your grail item here? My grail item really is this whole combo set, because to have a complete set that Patrick played with, in a season is rather rare, just to have it together. But interesting story about this equipment is he actually gave it to his neighbor as a gift, the whole package, the blocker, the glove, and the pads. And what happened was in 1990, there was a lockout season. He was in a Gatorade commercial. He couldn't have access to the Montreal Forum to get his equipment. So, hey, Mathieu, do you mind if I can borrow my equipment I gave you? He strapped on all this equipment, filmed the Gatorade commercial with cut-ins of Michael Jordan, which is a really cool commercial.
Yes.
And then the season started again. So he liked the equipment. He decided to play the 45, 50 games with this equipment, played in the All-Star game. Hey, and then re-gifted it to Mathieu at the end of it. So, you know what? Full circle moment for me about 15, 20 years ago. As a collector, I was offered this set.
Yes.
Couldn't afford it at the time. Full circle moment, like 2-3 years ago, it was offered again to me. And fortunately, I was able to acquire it. So I'm really, really proud to have this in my collection. No doubt.
Made by Lefebvre. We can tell even the leather is still super high quality.
Exactly. It's incredible. I mean, Michel Lefebvre was and is the godfather of goalie equipment, period.
Yeah, you said he was making his masks too.
Absolutely.
Right?
He was a mask maker. He was a pad maker. And there was nothing better. That era of goaltending really was dominated by French-Canadian goaltenders, led because of Patrick, and he inspired a whole generation. And
Jose
not only
Theodore, Carey Price, you name them.
Yeah, Roberto Luongo, Marc-Andre Fleury, Martin Brodeur, all those guys. It's a long lineage starting with Patrick and his technique. But the equipment itself actually sort of carried on to all those other goalies as well. And it's proud. Like we have to be proud. Patrick was born and made in Quebec. So was his equipment.
There you go.
Made in Quebec.
Love that. So here behind we have some twigs. If you can show some goalie sticks so that were game used.
Absolutely.
But what about when we're talking Habs? We have Ken Dryden, we have Patrick Roy, we have Jose Theodore, we have Carey Price. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
What are some of the cool ones that you have here? And I can see some other ones here from Patrick.
Well, we could see what I like is we could see some of the evolution here, right?
Yes.
So we even start as old as, let's look at Ken Dryden, for example.
No way.
Here's a Ken Dryden game issued stick from the 70s.
No curve.
What's unique? Yeah, no curve. You can use it ambidextrous, both ways. And again, it's just essentially a block of wood. And then we move on to, someone like Carey Price early on. Again, it's still a wood stick with some fiberglass injected into it.
Yes.
And then, you move down later down the road. And now you're talking about the current goalie here, Sam Montembeault. I mean, look at this stick.
Super lightweight.
There's so much technology in this goalie stick. I mean, it's incredible, right?
Stick. And these are actually game used.
Yeah, these are game used. All of the sticks have been used in games. But it's just the evolution of the technology is just
very
so amazing,
heavy,
right?
medium weight, and this is like a feather.
This is like a feather. And again, there's grippy portions on the stick. There's so much tech built into the stick.
Yes.
But that's what I love seeing. I like just seeing the evolution of all these.
Plus, we have the generation. So you have Ken Dryden, you have Carey Price, you have the new gen Montembeault.
And we have Patrick, of course.
Do you have Jose Theodore?
Yeah, Jose
I'm sure they
Theodore's
want to
here.
see that.
Here you go.
He's another Hart winner.
We got Jose.
Vezina winner.
Jose right here.
Look at that. Jose Theodore signed, of course.
We got, how about Thibaut? I mean, we got all of them, right? So we got Thibaut making a presence.
Thibaut, absolutely.
Thibaut was there. How about...
we had so many good goaltenders in Montreal.
How about Halak? Remember, he had that great run, right? Here's a lax stick.
No way.
Yeah, I'm a big goalie guy, right? So I grew up loving Patrick Roy. And every kid my age wanted to be Patrick Roy. It wasn't... when I didn't want to be Wayne Gretzky. I wanted to be Patrick Roy. So.
And the cool thing, guys, that I forgot to mention, Sunil said that everything I touch, I'm bringing back home. Thank you very much, Sunil. So here, I'll let you take these.
That's the end of the interview.
So I'm seeing more Patrick Roy sticks. Which is there one that stands out for you more than the others? Because I see different brands, eh? Sherwood, we have Louisville, we have Victoriaville, we have Coho. So which one is from his cup winning years?
Well, there's some different sticks here. So I mean, what you remark on is the tape jobs are very consistent.
Absolutely.
He always has that thick knob and he's got tape here, but this is very early on in his career. It's not a very tall stick. This is from 1987. You can see how much abuse it suffered.
Wow.
But again, he's changed different brands over the years, but he's kept his taping, the very much the similar. The knobs, the tape. The tape here, started putting tape at the grip end. This is what he used in Colorado.
Look at this.
This is, so this is a very rare stick. He only uses this for a few months, actually.
This one?
Yeah. So where it says Coho Evolution.
Yes.
So this is when Coho entered the goalie market. It then changed to Coho Revolution. So only about for 3 months they kept the brand name Evolution, and this is early on in Coho's existence as goalie equipment. So,
wow.
And Patrick really was the big ambassador at the time. So
yes.
For them to land Patrick Roy was a really big deal. So
nuts.
But again, having a stick that he only used for a few months is rather unique.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much to take in, guys. So we have memorabilia. We see here, so this, guys, this is emotional for me and my brother because this is the cup. I was too young for the 86. I was born in 81.
Yeah.
But the 93 Cup, if you want to come and see the crest, this was also the 100th year. It was the Stanley Cup Centennial.
Yep.
The Montreal Canadiens had set a record for the most overtime wins in a playoff. Was it 10 or 11?
10 wins in overtime. Incredible. I don't think that record's ever meant to be broken.
And these are the pads that I remember, these blue and red. Yeah. And so this here, I'm seeing something special. Andy, if you want to come in, have a look at this. So this is a signature. But
so there's an inscription there.
Be a Warrior. Yeah. Is that him who wrote that?
Yeah, so that's Patrick that wrote that. So it's funny that he wrote it in front of the blocker, but little known secret is he used to write it on the inside of his blocker. So he always used to write "Be a Warrior," and again, there's these little tidbits that you find out. Like he used to write his kid's name underneath the tape.
Yes.
There's all kinds of superstitions. And in terms of goaltending and goalies, he had so many superstitions. It was crazy. He talked to his goal posts and tapped them, and he's always shaking his head inside his mask. He's a very superstitious goalie. But this equipment, like you mentioned, is so iconic to 1993. Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of people remember Patrick in this red, white, and blue equipment.
Andy, come and see this. This is a shot of him using that equipment, making a stop. Yeah. Like, these are classic poses. This was the equipment he was wearing when he gave that that famous wink, right?
Yeah.
To the camera. There was a player passing in front of him, and you said it
was Sandstrom
from the LA Kings.
Yeah, exactly.
So Patrick Roy winked because he knew there was something cooking. But Andy, we're going to give something special. Another story from you, Sunil.
Yeah, interesting. So this, like the equipment, the Coho, we were talking about the Coho stick and the Coho pads. So he actually had a pretty bad year that year, you know, and
Correct.
and they just snuck into the playoffs. They were certainly not
Top
yeah,
seed,
they
no.
they were not sort of pegged to win the Stanley Cup that year. But you know, they were down early on in that playoff run, 2-0 against the Nordiques.
Yes.
And Patrick all year was frustrated with his equipment. You know, it was the first year that he switched from Lefebvre to Coho.
Okay.
And he really blamed his horrible season on his equipment. You know, for a goaltender, you know, in between the years, a little
Yes.
psychological, anything could set him off,
Absolutely.
right? But, you know, being down 2-0 to the Quebec Nordiques was his final last straw, basically. So Patrick, at around in the middle of the night, calls Michel Lefebvre and says, "Hey, Michel, I can't take it anymore. I know I'm with Coho, but I love the way your equipment fit me." So they went there, middle of the night, brought the equipment, and
This
he
is
said,
during
"Yeah,
the playoffs?"
absolutely, during the playoffs, said they're down 2-0." And he said, it's a ballsy move. He says, "Look, redo all my equipment, outer shell, keep it Coho, but the inside, make them like my old pads."
So you're saying that the outside leather
Yes.
was Coho branded, but
Yeah.
the interior was Lefebvre. The
All
equipment he
made
was
by
used
Lefebvre.
to.
He re-padded everything the way he would pad.
Yes, yes.
Restructured it all to make it exactly like his old pads.
No way.
And then, well, the rest is history. He won 10 games in overtimes, won the Stanley Cup. So, you know what?
Psychologically, maybe
Yeah.
that helped him bring him back to what he knew and felt comfortable with.
Absolutely. And then afterwards, Michel Lefebvre became very well known with goalie equipment all over because Coho started partnering with him. After that, it was
Yes.
CCM who partnered with him.
Yes.
True Hockey partnered with him. So he really put Lefebvre on the map,
Yep.
to be honest.
And Andy,
you
come
know?
and see this. We see it on the glove, powered by Lefebvre.
Yeah.
So right here, Lefevre
Yeah.
for the Anglophones out there. So this is a French Canadian name. Look at that. And the family still exists today, and they still make equipment.
Yeah, he really has become the godfather of goaltending equipment. So when all the top goalies in the NHL, they're using True/Lefebvre hockey equipment.
And we love Patrick Roy so much. By the way, your Habscave logo. So we see the man himself holding the cup.
Yeah, I got it.
How
I
cool is that?
had to sneak Patrick in there.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we have a pool table here with more Habs kind of branding. Here I see a nice area with a bar that you custom built because again, you're a builder.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
we have something made out of maple.
Yeah.
And this is basically a zone where people come and watch it. And look at that. This is the 1993
last
Stanley
game,
Cup
yeah.
final, the final game. So we're at the Montreal Forum right now and they're playing the Los
Just
Angeles
a coincidence
Kings.
that was on. I
Just
didn't
a
plan that
coincidence?
way. But look, the space was planned out so that people have, you know, they're not just watching the game here. In the intermissions, there's pinball, there's pool, there's air hockey,
Yes.
there's foosball, there's super checks. You know, you hear those sounds. It's all nostalgia driven, right?
Yes.
So I love hearing all the balls being hit, the pinball machine being activated. It just brings me back to a nostalgic time in my life.
Let's have a walk around while we're talking.
You know, when we come down the stairs, like life is full of all kinds of its issues.
Yes.
But I really enjoy the fact that you come down the stairs. It doesn't matter. You're here to watch hockey. The focus is on the Montreal Canadiens.
Exactly.
And that's really why I built the space. And it's not just for me. It's for all my buddies. It's turned into some great stuff. Like I mentioned before, we invite 40, 50 people over, bring some hockey players, choose a local charity. And we, you know, everyone, it's a win-win. People, all restaurants participate.
You host events.
Yeah,
here,
we host
basically.
events basically 4 or 5 times a year. We choose a charity. Look, everyone makes a donation. Charity goes home with $10,000, $15,000.
Yes.
Everyone has a good time with the players. The players have a good time. And, you know, right now, it's been 3 years since we've been hosting events. We were at about $135,000 raise. So I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that.
Everybody
Thank you.
that benefits
I appreciate
from
that.
this.
Thank you.
And it's rare also. I want to give you a big thanks for anybody out there that's passionate about sports. Usually these caves or these man caves that are made for sports, it's not often that you get to visit them. I'm privileged today
Thank you.
to have access to this, so thank you. And my brother, I know it's going to be memories for life. Yeah. You've made custom stuff as well. Like I see this hockey twig table.
Yeah, so this was 67 hockey sticks, 67 of my old hockey sticks. I needed some wood ones, right, for the framing.
Yes.
It's hard to screw into, but look, I'm proud of this kind of stuff. I like the details, right? It's all about some interesting details here and there.
Colors.
You know, yeah, absolutely. The colors, the splash of the.
We have
it's amazing.
Here behind.
Yeah, this is a goalie wall, basically.
Roy,
Yeah.
Theodore.
These are my
Price.
guys. Absolutely, 100%.
Come here, Andy. You
A lot
got
of goalie masks.
Show this to the people. Everything is signed. Look at that.
Ken Dryden. Yeah, this is even Jacques Plante here. We got Jacques Plante from back in the day. He signed an index card, player card. You know, that's what they would sign back there. You know,
super rare.
Yeah, very rare.
He was the first goalie to have a mask,
Yep.
and we can see some of the originals here. So we have Ken Dryden from the 70s. We have Patrick Roy from the 80s and 90s. Theodore from early 2000s.
And
we have,
then,
of course, Carey Price, early
took over after
mid-2000s to...
It's quite a long legacy of goaltenders here in Montreal.
Look at the masks.
They always say, Pan, like the hardest positions in sports are either the pitcher for the Yankees,
correct,
or the goalie for the Montreal Canadiens.
Absolutely,
definitely, and we've been lucky here.
Look at, so those are Carey Price masks.
Yeah, those are all Carey Price goalie masks, replicas, all autographed by Carey himself.
Too bad he never won a cup, but he was such a
such a spectacular goalie. Definitely a spectacular goalie.
I see. So we have a few Stanley Cups, but there's one in particular that we're going to watch in the end because it's a replica of the real thing, real size, all the etchings. We see some details all the way up to your ceiling. More twigs, Montreal Canadiens. Like I don't. Let me know in the comment section, guys. Have you seen anything Montreal Canadiens themed that is more over the top than this? I have not. Here, this is an important one.
Yeah.
So this is funny because it's made out of metal.
Yep.
But this looks like a legit arena piece. What is
100%. This is basically a guardrail from the old Montreal Forum. The seats would be behind this. There was an alleyway and then the glass for the ice over there.
Okay.
So, again, having a piece like this is unique because it's not something people would think of putting in their man cave or as decor. But
so this is the real deal.
I think when I brought it home, my wife, that is the most useless piece of memorabilia you bring it home. But once I installed it and put it here, she goes, "Okay, I see your vision." She understood it.
Is the WAF, the wife acceptance factor?
It's really high here. I mean, she's supportive. I always tell her she's the hero here because she really lets me get away with a lot of stuff.
What is her name?
Diana Lawrence. Diana's a sweetheart.
Any woman that supports her man, it should be the opposite too. We support our women.
Look, I see a lot of it when guys come down here. The wives follow them. Don't you get any ideas? Don't you think you're going to do that in our house? But you know what? She's great, and she realizes as well like the reach it has, and
the good you do for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I feel like I represent all the fans. It's not only about me. So when I'm out there, I get a lot of great messages on Instagram. Say, you know what, Sunil, thank you for sharing your experiences going to the game. Yeah. Because I live, so far away that I can't be there at the game. But when you share all that content at the game, I feel like I'm part of it. So, I take that stuff seriously. And I really feel like I am an ambassador for all of us fans. And I enjoy it. I fully embrace it.
and you know what? There's more. Guys, there's a lot more. But here behind me, for those who are thirsty maybe, so I see a bar. But listen, even up to the bar, guys, there's some theme with their alcohol bottles from the players themselves. Yeah. Because some had either wineries or partnerships. What can you say about...
Yeah, I mean, there's different scotches and whiskeys that the players have come out with. Guy Lafleur, Larry Robinson. There's a bunch. I obviously have those in my collection. This is another passion of mine, single malt scotch. I will say this, we've had about 30 players over now, and oftentimes the evening ends here. and with some really sort of amazing moments where there's some stories come out that you would just never hear other than here at the bar.
So let me ask you this. Let's say Patrick Roy maybe is right here. Maybe you're giving him something. He wants, you say single malt scotch?
Single malt scotch, yeah.
Which one is the most premium one in your collection that you would reserve for somebody like Patrick Roy?
Well, I'd probably give him a 25-year-old, scotch. And
this one?
Start off there, see where his palate's at.
So kind of this?
Yeah, I think so. A 25-year-old Bowmore.
Andy, come on in. Yeah. Get that zoom for the crowd. So
let's see how Patrick would like the 25-year-old Bowmore, and then we'd start from there.
Good,
The thing is, it's not always about the age. It's very subjective.
Absolutely, it's like wine.
It's taste. So, I might like it. He might not like it.
So let's continue on here. So now I'm seeing more seats of the Forum itself.
Yeah, we have 17 seats down here total. There's a few of them that are replica seats that have been autographed by certain players, but most of them we use. This particular seat is rather unique. Yeah,
it's wider than the rest.
Exactly.
Right?
So there was only 39 in the Forum that were that width because they had to fill certain rows. And over the years, I've taken off the seat back. There's 4 brand new screws there. Take off the seat and have it autographed. So we're at about 105 autographs on that seat now.
So all these Montreal Canadiens
players?
all
former Montreal Canadiens players and legends.
Some coaches. I see Jean Perron. Of course, Patrick Roy is here. Wow.
Really unique piece. And again, aside from the autograph, just the seat itself is unique.
Very unique.
Because of the width, right?
This is insane.
And it's original. Look, the patina is there. It's 100 years old, the seat,
And of course, here we move on. We see the classic colors of the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. So the red, white, and the blue.
Yeah.
So we have a row
So
of
this is
3
great.
seats.
You know, like I was able to sort of put these together. In the old Forum, you know, it was only 15,000 seats, right?
Yeah.
So what was nice about it, the lower bowl was red, the middle bowl was white, and then the upper seats were blue. So, you know, it's a great representation. And then we had the guy, you know, put the lettering there and the name.
Come on
know.
in. Yeah, 1924, the Forum.
Yeah.
So 19 up to 1996.
You saw the Mount Royal seat.
Look at
That was in use till 1924.
Yes.
1924, they moved to the Montreal Forum. 1996, they moved to the Bell Center, or the Molson Center at the time.
So from 1924 to 1996,
these seats
this is
were
what
there.
people
Yeah,
were. Can
this
you
is
imagine the history?
absolutely.
How many Stanley Cups people witnessed?
24
sitting there?
Stanley Cups, the Rolling Stones, Muhammad Ali, the Beatles, like whatever concert, whatever was going on in Montreal, it was happening at the Montreal Forum.
But of course, for all the hockey fans, the most important thing, and I see it in the corner of my eye,
Ah, there you go.
the Stanley Cup.
Yes, it is.
That is
the
sitting
Stanley
on
Cup.
another equipment chest, which you're going to show us what's inside because
Yeah,
it's special.
sure, absolutely.
So officially team used, but this is a real life size replica, you say, of the cup.
Yeah, this is a 3D printed version of the Stanley Cup, 100% to scale.
Look at that.
It has all the exact engravings of the Stanley Cup, even the errors.
Even the mistakes.
Even
that
the
are on
mistakes, everything's in there.
there. Look
so,
at that.
yeah.
Stunning. So if it can,
And
can
here
I
we got
lift
here
this?
we got the Habs. Well, what do you know? We got the Habs 92, 93 team right here. So all the boys are there.
Right
you
there,
know?
guys.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. So if it can I touch
Yeah,
this? Can I
absolutely.
lift
You
this?
can carry it. Yeah, this one I guess you're allowed to put over your head. if
So
you want.
let's do this without touching
You
anything
take
else.
this out here. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is if I was to imitate, this is the prize,
Yeah.
right?
That is supposed to be illegal, by the way. Only former Stanley Cup champs are supposed to be
We're
able
allowed
to.
to
Yeah,
do that?
absolutely.
Look at
yeah.
that. Hoisting this.
We won't tell anybody.
How
Like,
much
why
does
not?
the real one weigh? Do you know?
36.5 pounds.
Okay, it's not
Yeah,
that bad.
yeah.
We think it's a lot
Yeah.
heavier
So
than that.
that's about 15 pounds.
So this is where they drink all the
Yeah,
water,
look at
right,
this.
from the cup.
Or poutine.
Or
you know,
poutine,
or they're
exactly.
having
Some
poutine,
have done
you
that.
know?
So what's inside the chest? Because I saw there was something pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So this chest itself, I mean, this was a travel trunk that the teams would. You saw the older one. This one's from '93, and what's unique about this one is that it's an upright travel trunk, so it would still have wheels on the bottom.
And you said that players, this reminded them
Oh yeah,
back in the
absolutely.
day, right,
They
when
remember this
visit?
in the hall just because it was upright and had drawers. So if the guys needed some particular pieces of equipment, I mean, they would just hit the drawers and hit. And, you know, for me, what I use it for is my hockey cards. And what better hockey card than Patrick Roy's rookie card? I look. I don't
These
know.
are Patrick Roy
I
rookies.
don't know who holds the Guinness World Book of Records.
You must
I don't,
be up
I don't,
there on that list.
I don't know if there is a record for
How
that,
many
but
did
look,
you think you say you have?
I have 150 Patrick Roy rookie cards. So
150 cards.
yeah, 150 Patrick Roy rookie cards.
Including
Look,
this one here. This
Yes.
is a mint KSA.
I'm
10
obsessed. No question.
graded. So this is a prime example, pristine example.
Yeah.
So 1996 rookie card for Patrick Roy.
100%.
Look at that.
You know, and I have all the iterations. You know, they've redone them over the years,
Yes.
and you know, but look, you know, he was my guy growing up, and it started with hockey cards. So I do have a lot. Look, I have a lot of my old cards. Look at this one.
Ken Dryden rookie.
I love this. Like this to me is what hockey
Super
cards are
vintage,
about. Look at
yes.
it. Look at it. What it's been through.
Yep. That's the
You know,
patina.
and I enjoy that. I look at that and I said, you know what, that's where it all started for me. This type of
Yes.
stuff. You know.
That's beautiful. So drawers with all the
Yeah,
equipment.
no, it's
Look at
perfect
that.
place to put the hockey card, right?
Wow.
So it's great. It's great. It's fantastic.
So what else? Here we have a wall of fame of a lot of players.
Yeah.
Is there anything? Is there a theme or is there something special? I see.
Well, these guys are all legends. They're all, you know, Habs icons and legends. Most of them in the Hall of Fame. You got the
Larry
big three over here from the
Robinson.
'70s.
Of course.
You know, Lafleur,
Serge
Cournoyer,
Savard.
Dickie Moore, Steve Shutt, and my buddy Knuckles Nyland is always well represented.
He's
here.
very close to your heart.
Absolutely.
Isn't he? Yes.
He's, you know, has the records for the most penalty minutes
Which
for the
is
Montreal Canadiens.
3,043.
Yeah,
That's written on his
exactly.
jersey.
And he said, hey, figure this one out.
Okay.
42 penalty minutes in one game. Still
that
has
still
the
the
record.
record?
It's still the record. But
In
do the math.
one
Try to
game.
figure it out. 42 penalty minutes in one game.
So this
I
year-
defy anybody to beat that record.
That's insane. This here is Carey Price's equipment.
Carey Price's game used equipment.
Game
from,
used.
Yeah, game
Look at
used
that.
from the bubble 2019 against Philly.
Wow.
You know?
So that's when we lost.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, but look, it's still nice to have, and I love seeing, you know, the guys who come down here, put it on, take a few pictures.
Absolutely.
It's cool. It's just, you know, it's nice to have it available, basically.
This is a real deal hockey table. You, like he even modified. He put names and numbers in the back. Look at Subban here, number 76. Can you see that? That's attention to detail.
This
noticed
there's
those
some
things
heated
'cause I
battles
like
over here
details.
on the super checks, no question.
Really,
This could get pretty intense over here.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I see more trophies here in the background.
Yeah, so here we get, like I said, this area is kind of the Hall of Fame, older sort of, section. But, here we get some serious stuff going on here where, every player who's won the Stanley Cup is actually given as a gift a mini Stanley Cup. Even to this day, the tradition has never stopped.
Yes.
So I'm lucky enough in my collection to have 2 Stanley Cups from Yvan Cournoyer. Yeah,
so this
these
is
are
actual
cups that were awarded
Can we remove the glass?
And Yvan Cournoyer, he won 10 Stanley Cups. So I'm very blessed to have this in my collection. These are stainless steel.
Look at
you
that.
can see in the top here, Stanley Cup of Preston.
Yes.
And so basically everyone that's on this cup was awarded a mini cup and given a ring.
So this is the actual player given cup.
I mean, if you're looking at, these are all legendary names here. Yvan Cournoyer,
Robinson,
Guy
Lafleur,
Lapointe, Serge Savard. I mean, these are
Ken
legendary.
Dryden.
And so alongside, you get the little conference trophy as well. So
Yes.
again, I'm very lucky to have these in my collection. And
so we had the Prince of Wales back in the day and Clarence Campbell, which are now the East and the West.
Yeah. But funny enough, the Canadiens do have a Clarence Campbell Cup.
Okay.
From 2021 when they went to the Stanley Cup
Yes,
final.
That's right.
So
that was the odd.
The only one, the only one.
Here I see some vintage stuff. Andy, come and see this. Maurice Rocket Richard from back in the day. Wow.
So these are kind of cool because they're the vintage.
Jean Beliveau.
They're the real sweaters, right? Like jerseys. It wasn't jerseys. They were called hockey sweaters for a reason. So these are these old wool sweaters, And we got the Rocket there, Doug Harvey, Jean Beliveau.
Here we have a Carey Price mask.
Yeah, that's from the Heritage Classic. When he was trying to make it look like Jacques Plante's mask, with the ears and stuff sticking
Absolutely.
out. PK skates from the Winter Classic. Again, another throwback.
Who was he throwing back to?
To Jean Beliveau, an ode to Jean Beliveau over there.
Number
The old
4.
CCM logo, the brown and the black.
Wow.
Here you got some vintage masks, Jacques
Ken Dryden
Plante,
would have worn.
Tony Esposito, Ken Dryden Target mask, pretzel mask. Iconic.
Yeah,
Iconic.
that was the mask that Ken Dryden was wearing on his rookie
Yeah,
card
that's
back
right,
in the
his
day.
first year, yeah.
Look at that.
A lot
You
of
even
this
have
stuff.
some beer cans
Look,
here.
it's all about the collect. I never stop collecting. So like I told you, if it's got a Habs logo, I gotta have it. Like I love this bottle. Like look at this bottle. I mean, you're not gonna find a bottle like this anymore. It's painted on, right? I love it.
Andy, come and see this too. We have some rookie cards from some of the top players from back in the day. Jean Beliveau rookie. We moved down to 1952. Parkhurst, Maurice Richard, the Rocket himself. Then we go to 1960. Henry Richard, his brother, who has the most Stanley Cups ever with 11 rings, right?
Absolutely.
And then Boom Boom Geoffrion from 1952. Look how small those
Everyone
cards
talks
are.
about Tom Brady and all his rings.
Yes.
But,
These
this
are the
man
real-
has a lot of rings.
That's more than fingers. that
Way
you
more
have in
than
your hands.
Tom,
Got popcorn stuff here, even a popcorn machine. From
At the end of the day, we're entertaining here, right? So
Yes.
I need, I want it to be welcoming. I want, people to have access to everything they can imagine. I want it to be amazing when they come down here. So, part of that is food and beverage.
The more I watch, the more I discover. Do you see this Jumbotron? So this is another with actual TV screens.
Yes,
and you can
absolutely.
put
TV
games
screens.
on
You can
there.
put games on there. It's funny story with that one is I would always have Chris Nyland here at the poker table.
Okay.
And he'd always yell at me, Sonny, there's no way I could watch the game. The TV's over there. So we had to add this now. So
course.
Chris is happy now.
Shout out to
He can
Chris.
watch the game over here.
So how many total players from the actual Montreal Canadiens have come down and visited this basement?
Yeah, for anyone who has a fan cave or a man cave, the ultimate is to have a player come down here.
Yeah.
It started off with one as Gilbert Zion came down here.
He was the first.
Yeah, he was the first. It was supposed to be a 15-minute visit. He stayed for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was great. And then it just started from there. It just steamrolled, and we've had about 30 players come over here, and we always get them to sign the wall on their exit. And, it's not so much about collecting things now. It's just collecting memories and having experiences down here. So, and I'm lucky enough to have a great gang of friends, and we're always sharing the experiences. So,
And let it be known, you're a season ticket holder.
I am.
How many years in a row have you been? Because they often say that, right? Take pictures of when you're watching the game.
Yeah.
He's been a season ticket holder for 10 years, 15 years.
yeah. So, no, about 11 years now I've had my
Wow.
tickets. So, I got into the building. I was way at the top. And again, one of the best days of my life when I got that phone call and saying, hey, you got your tickets. Because it took me 11 years on the waiting list to get those seats. And I
For
didn't
people
care.
who don't know, Montreal, long
absolutely.
waiting list.
Now I believe it's like
Always
19
sold
years.
out.
But
Yeah.
I was in at the top, slowly worked my way down because it goes by seniority.
Yes.
But I'm very blessed and lucky and privileged to be in the building to watch, my favorite team. So.
And in the stadium, there's 3 sections. So the top section, the blue,
Yeah.
the middle, the whites,
Exactly.
and then you eventually graduate to the reds.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the lower parts of the bowls.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Now the stadium's got 21,000 seats.
Yes.
The second most in the NHL. Chicago beat us by 100 just to stick it to us.
Did they? I thought.
They added like 100 extra seats just to get us.
So we're gonna have to. Do you think we're gonna build a new forum soon?
It's
getting
there's
old.
a lot of talk, right? It's 1996 now. It's an older building.
It is.
Yeah, it's in a very tight location. There's only so much we could do.
Yeah.
They have renovated it to the best of their capabilities. I would love to see a new building.
But let me tell you, me and my brother, we went to the UBS Arena, probably the most expensive NHL arena to date, built in 2021, circa 2021. So one of the more recent ones, if not the most recent. But the experience and the modern facilities, amazing.
Incredible.
So we know that if the mecca of hockey is Montreal, they have to make something amazing for the next one.
Yeah, I hope they
Flames
do.
are working on something pretty cool.
I hope they do. But I will say this.
Yep.
The Bell Center is built to watch hockey.
Yes.
So I have traveled. I've been to many arenas in the NHL. I still have not experienced the hockey game the way I experienced it here in the Bell Center.
You're right.
Every seat is a great angle to the ice.
Yep.
And it's purely about the hockey. Yes, I agree. We don't have all the frills.
Yeah.
But, we go there to watch the team and watch hockey, and there's no better arena in the NHL.
And the noise
Hands
level,
down.
we were talking about that. We
Incredible.
both went to
Incredible.
the Four Nations.
Yeah.
We saw the the Canada-USA game, which was mind-blowing.
Blew me
And
away.
the level of decibels in that arena, which was superseded by the game you saw from Washington and the Canadiens in the Stanley
I
Cup
never thought I'd hear it
playoffs.
louder than Canada-US, on
And
that
you said it
Saturday
did.
night. But the first playoff game in Montreal,
Wild.
absolutely phenomenal. I'm getting chills just talking about it. We have a new fan base. It's a younger fan base.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It's a multicultural fan base.
Yep.
Again, they're bringing the flavor of, let's say, European football too.
Yes.
Right? Because they're fanatics over there.
Absolutely.
So they're bringing that flavor into the Bell Center, and it's quite a mix. And, the youth of today are so excited for this team to do well.
And look at us, you're from Indian
Yeah,
descent.
no,
yes?
absolutely.
I'm from
yeah,
Greek descent,
yeah.
and our immigrant parents, they came here, they raised us,
Yep.
we're a part of the culture, we love hockey, we live and breathe hockey.
That's it.
So as we walk over there, let me ask you one thing. So you've had a lot of memories from a child all the way up to now. If there's one that stands out as a fan of the Montreal Canadiens, which one would it be? Which memory do you have of this team that sparks the most emotion?
Well, it has to be the current, the Stanley Cup victory in 1993 for me.
Because you were there?
Yeah, I was there. I went. Yeah, I actually have some tickets.
Of course he does.
Yeah, I do.
Let's show this, Andy, if you want.
Yeah, this is a lot of stuff from my memorabilia, like a lot of stuff from my childhood.
But showing those.
But yeah, look, I still have my stub from the last Stanley Cup victory. Look, I get.
So is this the day that they won the cup?
No, this was I think game three.
Wow.
But look, I get riled on a lot by other fan bases and stuff on Instagram. And look, at the end of the day, I know that we've struggled for a little bit of while, but look, we're on the up and coming.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
But we have this amazing history to celebrate, and I'm all for it.
Yes.
We have a tremendous history of winning, the greatest organization in hockey ever. So I enjoy the nostalgia. I enjoy celebrating the past.
Yes.
Whereas people say, you're always talking about the past. Habs fans always about the past. You know what? We have a glorious past.
Yeah.
So I am not pushing it aside. I enjoy it, and I exploit the past.
Correct.
And I enjoy it. I have no problem celebrating the past. So
another cool thing. Let me show this while you're putting your ticket away.
Sure.
So this is a Coca-Cola bottle from the 1993 playoffs, and look at that. You can see the games here with the score, game 1-5. So the Canadiens won those 4 games. Look at that. This is crazy.
Yeah, look, I'm always looking for stuff. Look, this might look like a can to you, but for me, it's all about the dollars and cents. Look at this. These are all Habs loonies.
No way. The Centennial.
Yeah. I'd go to the dépanneur and change in my $5 for, like, please, you have any Habs loonies so that I can take them.
That is next level. And like my brother, I thought he was the biggest Canadiens fan. Andy, are we giving the awards to Sunil today?
No, it's absolutely. You know, look, it's not about awards and this and that. I love meeting other Habs fans, and at the end of the day, that's what the page was about.
Yeah.
And okay, am I a little bit over the top, perhaps? But you know what?
Of course. But I
at the end of the day, we all have this in common, that we love the Canadiens, we love our team.
Yes.
So I hate to say that I'm above anybody else. We're all fans. We love the team equally.
Absolutely. So and we keep on praying that they will get back to that level of cup contenders, at least that much.
And I think they're doing a great job of it. And
with
they
the
will.
that are coming
absolutely.
up.
A lot of young talent.
The Caulfields. Yeah, it's exciting.
It's an exciting time, that's for sure.
I'm going to ask my brother as a bonus. We're going to cut it out and put it in the video, but what he enjoyed the most.
Yep.
So in some final terms, as we walk towards this area again, let me know, Sunil, is there a story that you want to share with the audience of something quirky, something unique, something people might not know? Because
sure, like
let's be honest. You've had so many players here with all these drinks. Yeah. Of course, when it gets late, the truth comes out, or there's a lot of stories that might,
There's a lot of unique ones that come out. One that stands out to me, like we had a few guys here, and we were kind of in awe of the story itself and sort of who was telling it. Hockey Hall of Famer Denis Savard, he had such an illustrious career. He was born and raised in Montreal, Verdun. Came back to Montreal, he was supposed to be on our team. We didn't draft him early on, but they made that trade for Tris Chelios.
Yes.
And, he was here and he was on that 93 team. And, he was at the bar and he says, you know what, I'm going to tell you a story, guys.
Had never won a cup, right?
Yeah, he had never won a cup. And he's like, let me tell you a story about the 93 run. And I said, okay, yeah, we were all quiet. We're like, yeah, we got to hear this story. And, and again, he saw that I'm a huge Patrick Waugh fan. He says, oh, this is the perfect story to tell you, Sunil. And he shared a story because that year, him and Patrick Waugh used to drive into all the games together.
Okay.
So when they made the Stanley Cup Finals, I mean, Denis Savard was thrilled, but also very nervous at the same time because they were playing Wayne Gretzky, and the LA Kings.
Best player ever.
It wasn't, in his mind, it wasn't a given, basically. They weren't even supposed to be contenders that year. And, driving in with Patrick, he told him, he's like, I'm nervous. We're playing Wayne Gretzky. I don't know. I don't know.
What are our chances?
What are our chances, basically? And Patrick turns to him and says, look, if you think that guy across the ice, Kelly Rudy's going to beat me 4 games out of 7.
That's the LA King goalie, right?
There's no way that's going to happen. So look, I guarantee you got your cup, Denny, so don't worry about it. Then he just turns around and he's like, are you kidding me? And then all of us in the room is like, wow, that is like, again, you hear about Patrick Waugh's cockiness and his warrior-like winning attitude, but you hear a story like that.
It solidifies his legacy.
Absolutely, 100%.
He was a true winner.
Yeah,
4-time Stanley Cup winner.
Absolutely.
And I think the only triple Conn Smythe winner as the most valuable player in the playoffs. That's how much of a winner this guy was.
Yeah, his playoff stats are phenomenal. Insane. Like you have to win 9 Stanley Cups in a row to reach the amount of wins he said. He has 150 wins. Again, another untouchable record in my opinion. So
Sunil, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is amazing. Thank you for this private tour. We're going to be back for sure in the future because I want to be a part of his events. If people want to find you on Instagram and Facebook, it's always at
all at Habscave. Just look up Habscave.
I'll leave the links, by the way, in the description.
Thank you so much.
Support his page, guys. Go and check that out. If you love hockey, if you like sports, if you just like ideas for your man cave, look at this. I think this was the ultimate. I don't know what you guys think, but again, so thanks, Sunil. What you've done here is nothing short of breathtaking. By the way, I'm curious. I want my viewers to let us know in the comment section. Drop a comment. What was your favorite moment of this entire tour? Are there things that we didn't show on camera that you guys noticed? Because I know a lot of you are fine-tuned to look at those little details, and a lot of people who are fanatic about sports or hockey in general. But the Montreal Canadiens, they're near and dear to our heart. We're wishing them the best for the upcoming 2025-2026 season. Hopefully, they're going to eventually get to a point where they're going to be Stanley Cup contenders. And it's been since 1993 that there hasn't been a single Canadian team that has won the Stanley Cup. Please, guys, bring this back to Canada. All right, guys, so a quick bonus clip. Andy, my brother.
Hey, guys.
We brought him in for this tour. Andy, you're standing next to probably what is the highlight for you of this entire visit. But 100%. Tell us why Patrick Waugh is, what he means to you and why it's so important. And what else you're going to remember from this tour for the rest of your life?
Patrick Roy was basically the goaltender player of the Montreal Canadiens that made me fall in love with hockey, made me fall in love with the Montreal Canadiens, became a true fan and a diehard fan, I would say. Maybe not as much as Sunil here, being overwhelmed with all the memorabilia, sticks, pictures, autographs, masks. I mean, you say it, he has it. Truly unbelievable experience. Again, thank you, Sunil, from the bottom of my heart as well.
But Andy, I remember you since a young kid,
absolutely
loving the Canadiens. Yeah. But why because I seen you emotional during the tour. Why? Some people will say, listen, it's just hockey. No. But what does it mean to you?
It's not nostalgic. I mean, when I was a child, my mom was nice enough to buy me a copy, obviously back then, of the pads, the mitts, the helmet to play street hockey.
I remember.
I used to watch the games imitating Patrick Roy, so I would put on the full gear and start, just playing around in the living room. But yeah, truly breathtaking to see this in front of me, and having the privilege of seeing everything that Sunil has to share, and truly amazing experience.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Andy. Have you ever seen, as a Canadiens fan, so this is the Habscave, have you ever seen anything crazier than this from a Montreal fan perspective?
Absolutely not.
Never?
I thought I was a diehard fan, but this is...
Life goals, eh?
Oh my God.
Do you have anything to say to the Montreal Canadiens for all of those who might be a little discouraged that there hasn't been a cup since '93? I know you're a supporter. You always tell me 100%. How you never stop thinking and dreaming. Absolutely. What would you say to all the fans out there from Montreal Canadiens that are hoping that one day we'll see the glory days again?
The 25th one is coming soon.
It's coming soon.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Andy. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. But yeah, so Sunil, thank you. I appreciate the tour.
Thank you for being here.
And in the meantime, guys, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and we'll see you on the next one.